All right, y'all. Listen, it's about that time. It is definitely about that time. I want to make sure that I'm also recording. Oh, yeah. Here we go. All right, y'all. It is time. We are officially live. Y'all are with us here at ColumbusBlack.com's Throwback Thursday Support Black Business Series. So y'all already know what that means, right? It's about to go down, and we're about to have a good time. So before we get started, I want to introduce myself. My name is Kevin Lloyd. I'm the founder of ColumbusBlack.com. We've been around since 2005, y'all. That's 17 years. That's right. We started in 2005, and we're excited to still be alive. So with that being said, we have evolved and grown into an omni-channel platform connecting the Black community to commerce and to culture. The culture part, you're going to learn a lot about today, right? This is really tied to our culture, but overall, you're going to also see the commerce side because there's a business aspect, which is the reason why it's called Support Black Business Series. I am honored and I have the pleasure to actually be here with a special guest today that is doing some amazing things, y'all, in our community and really impacting the lives of our children, but then also adults. So with that, what I want to do is before we get started, y'all will notice that I'm coming to you live from Venture Suite, right? So you're seeing the backdrop, okay? Venture Suite is based in Columbus, Ohio. It is an event space and a co-working space. So you literally can work there. So if you are looking for a quiet place where you can work and have a good time and do a great job and also connect with some other amazing people, this is the place that you want to do it. And then obviously our sister company, which is MSW, which stands for Make Your Life Entertaining, which is how you find things to do, places to go and food to eat, but then also a place where you can promote, post your events, and sell tickets to your events all in one place. That's the app that you want to make sure you download today. Go to myle.com. That's MYLE.com. Now, as we jump into the main attraction of tonight, okay, we have a special guest with us, right? So Chelsea Elliot is here with us, and she's going to be talking about what she has going on and why she's actually on the Support Black Business Series tonight. And I believe you all will fully understand why very shortly. So, Chelsea, I want to thank you for joining us. Obviously, you and I had the opportunity to connect. We had a phenomenal conversation. I learned about what you had going on, and I said, I have to have you on the show. Okay. Why? Because people need to hear what you're doing and understand the impact that it actually will have on them and their livelihood, especially their children. So with that being said, I think you will do a better job of your introduction than I would, right? But if you would share a little bit more about yourself and the company, and then we'll go ahead and get a little bit deeper into the business and what you have going on.
Sure. So thank you so much for having me. This has been like on my bucket list of things. Like I've always said, I want to be on Columbus Black one day. I don't know how, but this is like a dream come true. So thank you. So my name is Chelsea Elliot, and I am the founder and CEO of Sōmōcom Lab, which stands for Social Emotional Communication Lab. And I focus on all things emotions for kids and for adults. So mostly helping kids understand their feelings and emotions and how to manage them, because as you know, that's a huge challenge for a lot of people, children and adults. So if you start early enough, then as they get older, it'll become second nature instead of it being something that we're like doubling back on because we missed that step. So I know a lot of people grew up like me where it was like, you don't have time for feelings, but we don't have to be like that right now. So we're going to work on our feelings, work on our kids' feelings, and do it together so that we can all grow up happy and healthy in this world.
You know, that's really huge that you talk about emotions, right? That's something that we as humans deal with every single day. Yeah. There's some things that you talk about the kids and our youth, but then also adults, right? Because guess what kids do? They grow up into adults, yeah, and it doesn't really change. So do me a favor. Before we actually go into the business piece, I want to make sure we understand who you are, right? Like, so would you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, where you grew up, all of that good stuff that most people have no idea. They just kind of know what you're doing.
Okay. If I go on too long, just let me know.
And no pressure at all.
Yeah, right. So I actually grew up. So, okay. In order for me to share my story and like share my upbringing and how it all ties into my business, every single part of my life ties into my business. So I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and we were living this amazing high life. And then my grandfather had gotten sick in Ohio, and we basically dropped everything and moved to Ohio, but we left my dad behind in California. So that was a very interesting transition, going from, having a lot of fun, going to the beach every weekend, and then moving to Ohio, where elderly people like your grandparents and snow. I hated snow. So it was a very big transition. And there were a lot of times we were told we would go back to California, but we never did. And so that had a huge impact on me. The perception of what was going on had a big impact on me. And I found ways to blame myself and trying to find ways to, oh, maybe if I did this, I could make the situation better. Maybe if I acted right, I could, make this easier on everybody else. And so that took a big toll on my mental health as a child, but nobody knew what that was as a kid. So I was an attention seeker. I was being a brat. I was a drama queen. Everything was just such a big reaction and response. And it was just hard for people to really handle and to understand. So that turned into a lot of different mental health issues. Like I said, some self-harming behavior, suicidal ideology, and just a lot of different things that, can happen when you don't understand your feelings and your emotions. So I went on to college and decided to get all the assessments and tests done that I possibly could. And so I found out I have ADHD, depression, and anxiety. And so that was like, oh, finally, I know what's going on with me. So I was in therapy, I was on medication, and I was able to take better care of myself. And then I went on to grad school for social work. And that was a real interesting thing. I had no clue what I was doing in Boston College for grad school and macro social work. I had no clue what any of that was, but it was amazing. It was fantastic and magical. So then I moved back to Ohio because I missed my family, and, still struggling with my mental health and still trying to figure out what can I do with these things? I have all these labels now, but what am I supposed to do with them? And so I was finally, going to therapy and taking bits and pieces here and there. And then I had my kids, and my oldest daughter, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, my very first thought was, oh my gosh, I don't want to pass these mental health issues on to her. And so that really jolted me into taking action and really doing something about it. So I started my business last year officially. Okay. My oldest is going to be 6 on Saturday, and my youngest just turned 2 on Sunday. So, this is still fairly new for all of us, but I always made it a point. My husband and I both have always made it a point to teach our kids about their feelings and emotions. So I didn't start this business because of them. I started it because of myself and because of my inner child and what she needed. But it's, transferred to supporting kids and ensuring my children have the resources and tools they need to be able to share what they're feeling and not have to bury it deep down inside. So that's, I don't know, this is a little bit about myself.
Yeah,
how I got started.
So listen, this is the important part, right? Because what happens every single show, we end up getting right to, now I won't say we get right to, but we used to get right to what the person is doing. People need to really understand the backdrop as to why you even did what you have done, but then understand who you are as a person, right? There are, I promise you, there are people that just heard what you said and that can relate. And that's what this is all about, right? So I want to thank you for your transparency, right? But then also sharing so people understand. And the topic that you mentioned about, especially around mental health, right? And your mental wellness and well-being is an important part of why you're doing what you're doing, right? And everybody needs to understand that. What I would like to share is that, we've recently had some live events where we have been talking a lot about mental health, right? And mental wellness, especially in our community. And it is something that has been overlooked, that people take for granted, that we think is just going to be okay and it's just going to go away and you'll just figure it out. And that's not the case. So I appreciate you broaching that subject, and that leads into why you are doing what you're doing. And we look forward to you sharing that, because I think it's going to be powerful and impact some people immediately. All right.
Yeah. No, and just to speak on what you were saying, I grew up with a lot of that, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Oh, you'll be fine. And it's not that bad. People have it worse than you. You're being ungrateful. Your faith isn't strong enough if you think you're depressed. Depression isn't real. And so that makes you feel even worse about how you're feeling. It doesn't help at all. It doesn't make it go away. It doesn't, oh yeah, that's right. People do have it worse than me. Let me, cheer up. That doesn't help at all.
Yeah.
Those phrases just
Nah.
make you feel 10 times worse because, oh, if I'm not supposed to feel like this and I feel like this, then what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Something's wrong with me. So I just did a video because it's Suicide Prevention Week
That's right.
this week.
Right.
And so I just did a video on my page sharing a little bit about my story with that. And I struggled with suicidal ideation for 15 years of my life. Every single day thinking you're not worth being here. Every day.
Wow.
For 15 years.
Powerful, powerful, powerful.
So I know how important it is to understand and to validate feelings, even if you don't agree with them, validating feelings and understanding the names, the terminology for them, just being able to label them and call them out and learning how to sit with them. Just those little things that we could do, taking deep breaths. We don't breathe enough. Like just little things like that can help so much. But those encouraging words, those are not encouraging at all. Not at all.
Unfortunately. So by the way, y'all, she is doing what? Dropping gems, right? So for those that don't know, when I do that, that means she's dropping gems. Those are like big, powerful pieces of knowledge that you should be absorbing. There are many of you that are in the same situation, right? Y'all are dealing with or have dealt with what exactly she has said, and it's real, right? And on the other side, guess what? There's some of you that are responding to people the same way she just said. So hopefully you all are taking note as well. We're not talking about some surfacey type stuff. This is real life. And you just mentioned what September is, right? It's Suicide Prevention Month, right? This is Suicide Prevention Week. What I wanted to share was that this Friday, there's actually, so with Dewey Services, they actually are hosting a an event that Jewel Woods and Jasper Person and Jordan Miller is putting together. And this week, they're going to be focused on that. There's a candlelight vigil. All that information, by the way, for those that don't know, if you're on our email blast with Columbus Black, and it may be posted on the site as well, you can find out about that. This is really important, y'all. We have an opportunity to save lives. So, Chelsea, I didn't know we were going to go in this route, but it's intentional that we go in this route, like it's meant to be. Okay. So thank you for sharing that. All right. So let's go back then a little bit, right? So based on your experiences, which you went through, how did that, like, when did the light bulb go off on the business side for you to actually create the Sōmōcom? Yep.
Oh my goodness. There was no light bulb. There was like I said, every single piece of my life, from my childhood to my education. I remember being in grad school crying to my instructors, why am I here? I have no clue what this even is. Why am I here? And I get to use that every day. Every single piece of what I have, what I've been through, and what God has brought to me is in my business now. So there wasn't an actual light bulb moment. There were just, and this isn't the first time I've had a business. And I know you understand this. And I try to tell people as bluntly as I can, don't sit on it. If it's something that is like punching you in the gut, it's waking you up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You, every time you're writing, I want to start a business, and you're looking back and you're like, oh, wow, I wrote that down before. Go for it. Do it one step at a time. You are not going to have all the pieces in front of you. But if you take it one step at a time, you share it with one person at a time, you're going to take yourself so much further than if you're trying to line it all up, because that's the type of person I am. I want all the information right now, and then I'll feel comfortable doing it. But with this one, I was like, look, I'm going to create a website. I started with a book, and I thought that I was going to make, so it was, let's see. I started with this book, Natalie the Monster Slayer. I wrote this in the pandemic while I was pregnant with my youngest, and my oldest is at home, and we're all suffering because that child is very a people person. She loves people. So, being at home. So I was like, how can we, talk about feelings at home? And so I wrote this book about her, Natalie the Monster Slayer. And it's about feeling fear, but finding bravery in that fear. So it's okay to be afraid. You don't have to say, oh, no, don't be scared. No, it's okay to be scared. That's fine. But you can also be brave in that fear. So that's what this book is about. And I wrote that, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cute. I love this book. It's really cute. So then I started writing one about anger and losing, because we don't like to lose around here. So I'm very competitive against my kids. but I have to model that behavior of, oh, I lost, you won, congratulations, good job.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that as a friend, as a little kid with your friends?
Oh,
So that's what I
listen,
wrote this book about. And there's a lot
listen.
of self-regulation in there. Go ahead.
Whoa. Like, listen. Listen, that's some big stuff, because we all know there's a lot of people that struggle with that. Right
Oh,
now,
yeah.
we already know people are going to watch this, and we're dealing with it. We're friends that have a problem congratulating you when you have success.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the whole anger thing is a real, keep going. I don't even want to,
Yeah.
you keep dropping those gems. Keep going.
No, that's real though. That's real. So I always say, like, this stuff is cute for kids, but it's really for the adult. It's really for the grown-up, because if we want our kids to do something different, they have to see it first, and we're their biggest role model, so they have to see it from us. So yeah, you're reading this book to your child and telling them, oh yeah, do these yoga stretches, to calm your body down. You got to do that first. You have to show them what that looks like. So I wrote those 2 books, and in the middle of writing my last one, I was like, oh, I want to create, maybe an emotions card deck. So everything came to me in little bits and pieces. So I wanted to create like a little card deck to go with my books. Like, it'll just be a supplemental thing with the books. Okay. And as I was creating it, somebody was like, oh, you're gonna have to make a boy version, because I was going to do it just on my daughter. I was like, I'm not making a different version of this card deck for every kid in the world. I'm not doing it. So I ended up, I'll just show you them on here. I ended up creating this very diverse group of kids called the EQ Kids Crew.
Nice.
And this was a punch in the gut type of vision. It was I don't have a clue how to make a card game. Who am I to make a card deck? Like, I don't know how to do that, but I couldn't get it out of my head. I was thinking about it constantly, nonstop. And so I went ahead and just created it. I had to get it out of my head. And within a month's time, I had a deck. And then on my birthday, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, and I was so mad. I was livid because my youngest had just started sleeping through the night, and I was so mad. But that's where I got the name EQ Kids Crew. So bits and pieces came to me here and there. And then I was like, okay, this is a thing. But I know myself, and I know I'm going to make this a bigger deal than, just a card deck. So I came up with Sōmōcom Lab, the social emotional communication lab, because everything that I do, everything I've ever done, focuses on kids being able to improve their communication with adults, and adults improving their communication with kids, because it's a two-way street. We can't demand respect without showing them what respect looks like. We can't tell them that they need to, stop, no, without them knowing what their options are. So how do we communicate effectively with our kids? How can they tell us what they're feeling if we don't share what feelings look like? How can they do that? So everything I do focuses on our communication and adding emotional intelligence into that communication. So I always tell people, going back to the business side of it, you're not going to have everything. You might have the vision, because I have this big vision that's still in my head that I'm just like, I don't know how that's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen one day. Everything I'm doing is leading up to that, but it's little bits and pieces here and there that I get. And I'm just like, okay, I'll try that. Okay, I'll try that. I have this new card deck now, and I'm still not 100% sure what I'm gonna do with it, but it's called Mind Matters, encouragement cards for kids. And it has different phrases on each card, and it's going to have prompts for adults to like go deeper and ask questions and have conversations, because again, communication, have conversations around these different phrases. So I love myself just as I am. What does that mean to a 5-year-old? What does that mean to a 12-year-old? What does that mean to a 17-year-old? It's going to be different, Yeah. So that's my next, like, I did not expect to do this, but it happened like that. And I said, okay, Lord, it's out. So it's here. You tell me what to do with it. So yeah, that's been my business advice this whole time, because I'm trying to get bits and pieces from everybody. And that's literally it. You're just going to get what you need in that moment, step by step.
That is absolutely amazing and awesome stuff, right? Like, so do me a favor. So you went through a fast, right? You said social, emotional, community, right? So let's go back, right? So break it down, right? So people understand the business name and how it relates to these key categories. So walk us through that one more time.
So when I was trying to come up with a name, I'm like, all the regular names are taken. I can't just use normal words anymore. So I had to combine 3 words to make it make sense. So social emotional communication lab. The social emotional piece is so social emotional learning is how children and adults learn to improve their emotional intelligence. It's the skill building that they use so you'll hear that in schools a lot. It's a big deal now. SEL is a big deal in schools. But that's how people learn those skills to have positive interactions with others and themselves, understand their feelings and emotions and all that, and regulate and manage.
So I have to ask you this, right? So you talked about, these books and how you've leveraged them with your children. Walk us through from a business standpoint. Like, so who are your clients? Who you've been working with? How you've been getting this out there to make sure other people see the benefit of this particular process?
That's been another God thing.
Okay.
But my clients and customers are parents who really understand the importance of emotional intelligence. Not all parents, because not everybody, unfortunately, I wish it could be, but not everybody's ready to have these hard conversations and to do the internal work to help support their kids in a way that they need, and it's not a dig on anybody. It's hard work. It's a lot of work. So I'm looking, I work with parents that understand the importance of emotions and emotional intelligence. And, are maybe looking to do more of a positive parenting. So conscious parenting and gentle parenting style instead of the traditional parenting, which I hate calling it all that, but the topic for another day. But yeah, so that's my client. And I work with schools and after school programs to get the card decks to their educators and to the children that are in their programs so that they, I have a journal that kids use as well. And it comes with the set, it's their own space. So I have some programs that use, the journals for the kids to write their feelings down throughout the day, or they have like a designated time in their day. So there are a lot of different ways to use the resources that I've created, but those are my audiences: schools, after school programs, and parents.
Outstanding. This emotional intelligence piece keeps coming up more and more. And I actually have a friend. So Kristen Harper actually did a book. She wrote a book and is in regards to emotional intelligence. It's tied to leadership, but it's interesting that as you think about it from a youth standpoint, the foundation, and it does take a certain person to even have that level of interest. So very interesting approach that you've taken. And then, so let me ask you this, because this is really important on the whole Support Black Business Series piece. What are your next milestones? Like, what do you want to accomplish? So if you say, hey, over the next year, this is what I would like to have happen, because in a moment, I'm going to challenge us to help you get there. So what's the goal over the next year?
You know what's so funny? I've been in business for a year, and I pinky promise you everything that I've done. I'm like, whoa, that was not even on my list. I've, being on the Karen Hunter show 3 times. I adore her.
That's big.
Not on my list at all. She's amazing. Being featured in Black Enterprise and blacknews.com. Not even in my purview, because I'm like, I'm just me. Who am I?
Right.
Oh my goodness. Featured in Parents Magazine and on the Today Show. Okay.
Killing it. Listen, y'all. That's why I try to tell you, y'all did not want to miss this, right? Like, don't take for granted what Chelsea is doing, the impact that it's having, the lives that it can change, including yours, right? Like, and you're getting all these accolades and all these opportunities because this is big. This is major, and it's being done in a way that we just haven't thought about or looked at before. So thank you for your innovation and your creativity and leveraging your life experiences, right? Like, this is a part of what you were saying, like when God tells you, right? Because he makes it really clear, hey, you're supposed to go do this. You're supposed to do this right now, right? And you went and you did it. And it's supposed to be impacting lives. So here's this is my first challenge to everybody. We're coming up on the second one in a minute. But the first challenge I have is, if you are watching this, that means you, because you're clearly watching this, right? You're hearing this right now. I need you to hit the share button. I need you to tag somebody. I need you to help get the word out, right? This is a live broadcast. It will live as a digital footprint. It will live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. Click either one of the links and share it. People need to hear this and implement these processes. Get these books. If you're tied to a school system, educators, you should be all over this. Like, this can change the entire situation that we're dealing with our children right now. Okay. So, all right. So I'm gonna go back for a minute. Pull back, Kev. Get off the soapbox. All right. So
I
right,
do
so
have goals. I do have goals.
go ahead. I was about to go right back to it. So
Yeah.
yep.
Just because I always think so small because I grew up feeling small and thinking small of myself. And so business is a whole mind game. It is you can have the most amazing idea in the world and have all the business knowledge in the world.
Yeah.
If your mind isn't in it, if it's not right, you're not going to get anywhere. So my next milestones for the next year, I want to meet Tabitha Brown and Oprah. Like, why not dream big? Why not think
why not? It's doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's doable. That is nowhere near impossible, right? So and now it's out there in the what? In the universe.
Yeah.
And we all know exactly how that happens. So guess what? Somebody's going to watch this that has access to both of those individuals that you just mentioned. And guess what's going to happen? Right? Now, the only thing is this. You have to promise that you'll come back on the show after, right, on Columbus Black, and we'll talk about your experience with both of them. How about that?
That would be amazing.
That'd be amazing. All right, cool. Now watch how it works. All right. So,
yeah.
All right. So listen, y'all. So that's our challenge right there, right? So, this series is designed for us to help support our Black-owned businesses. She already said what she wants to do, right? That's part of her goals. Let's help her get to that goal. Somebody who's going to watch this has access. Tabitha Brown and Oprah Winfrey, right? Those are the two. Is that right?
There are a lot more, but those two, I'm just like, that's the tip top.
That's the tip top. Okay. So I need you all to leverage your network, right? We know that they say 6 degrees of separation. I say there's about 3, depending on who you are in your network. It's a phone call or a text away. Let's make this happen. Okay. She has her credentials. She's doing the work. She's created amazing products, and they would love to meet this amazing young lady that's in our presence right now. So let's make that happen. All right. So that's one of your major milestones that you want to accomplish. All right. We know what we need to do to help you get there. Is there anything else that you have going on that you want to share? Right. So as we get ready to wrap up, it's one of those things where, in preparation for this is like, hey, I want to make sure the audience knows this. Is there something that we may have missed that you want to make sure while you have the platform that's conveyed tonight to our Columbus Black followers?
There's so many things I could share.
Well, it's all yours. The time is now. Give us narrow down to up to 3. If it's up to 3 things, start with 1.
Okay. 1, please respect your kids' emotions. All human beings have feelings, and it is so okay. And it is developmentally appropriate for kids to express their feelings and to share them.
So hold on. I need help here. So you're saying that kids need to be able to express their feelings. There's a lot of parents who didn't grow up in environments where they were allowed to express their feelings, as you know, right? So when you tell parents right now, your kids should be able to express their feelings, to some parents, they're like, no, they don't get to say what they want to say. And that may not be what you're trying to say. So what does that look like or sound like? I need your help right now. For somebody who doesn't understand what that could or should look like for a child to be able to express their feelings, help us out. Give me an example.
Okay, one example is if a kid says that if a child is crying about something, don't tell them to shut up. I'm gonna give you something else to cry about, or I'm gonna give you something to cry about.
Nobody would ever do that. Nobody watching this will ever say that.
I believe you, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. If they're already crying, don't tell them to shut up, or I'm gonna give you something to cry about, because they're already crying about something. All behavior is communication. If they are acting in a way, they are communicating a feeling. If a child is prone to lying, they are probably afraid of the repercussions and the consequences. So we might want to switch up the consequences so they don't feel like they have to lie all the time.
Ooh.
So if a kid is...
Go back 5 seconds. Say that again. Go back 5 seconds.
If a child is prone to lying, like a chronic liar, like everything they lie about, they are probably afraid of the consequences that are going to come. And this is something I have to work with my 5-year-old on. She doesn't get in trouble. Like, we don't do punishment. We have natural consequences. So if you, if you do something, the natural consequence is this, and that's just what's going to happen. But I'm not going to punish you because that's not teaching you real life skills. I don't want to be punished for things that I do. So if, if your child is acting in a certain way that is very unfavorable, they are letting you know that something is wrong. They're letting you know. They might not have the words to say it because they haven't been taught the words to say it, but they're letting you know. So dig deeper. Dig deeper. My community, I'm calling them emotional scientists because we're digging. We're digging deep. We're researching and studying our kids. That's what I did all pandemic. Researching and studying our kids to find out the root cause of these problems so that we can fix that and not just solve the behavior at the surface level, because that issue is still under there and it's going to manifest in different ways. Yeah, we solved it here, but it's going to turn into this. Yeah, we solved that there. It's going to turn into this, and it's not going to get better. And then we expect them at 18, go out and be this wonderful, productive, amazing person that speaks up for yourself in the world. But you're not allowed to do that in my house. That's contradictory. So we have to allow them to be people. We have to help them. But that starts at home. But that starts with us looking within ourselves and finding out why we're so triggered by kids speaking up, why we're so triggered and hateful towards children who are confident in who they are.
So you're saying as adults, we need to take a look in the mirror first?
Oh my gosh, that's the only way to do it. That's the only way to do it.
Whoa.
Your arm's going to start hurting in a minute.
Hey, sometimes I get a workout on these shows, all these gems being dropped. Y'all better watch out, put the hard hat on, because there's some gems being dropped in here tonight. I told y'all it was gonna happen, right? So wow, Chelsea, I'm
really passionate about this because I was that child, and had I had that support, and my family and I, we are in the most amazing place because we have talked about it. There has been forgiveness.
Hold on.
What?
Hold on, y'all in an amazing place because of what?
We've communicated about our issues from the past, and we have moved forward, and it has been the most magical and amazing experience I never thought would happen. Never thought would happen. But I'm so grateful, and they love the work that I do. They love it.
Hey, I got to ask you a question here. I was thinking about this last week, and I wanted to post, and I don't do the best job of posting stuff all the time. All these thoughts come through my head, but it was in regards to all the relationships where people don't even communicate with family and friends and their children anymore. The children don't communicate with the parents anymore. It's just, all this is just lost. And it always comes down to taking that time and communicating, right? And I know that there's people have been done wrong and things like that. Yeah. But can you help me understand how what you have created would help alleviate a lot of those if we implemented day to day the routines around the products that you have established? Like, what would that look like? What would help us not get to that point where we don't even talk as family members and best friends anymore?
Yeah, a lot of it. So I have these resources, but I also have a lot of workshops to help people with their communication. But a lot of it's in our mindset. So our emotions come from the experiences that we go through and our perceptions of those experiences. So the way that you think about it, one person might be totally fine with that situation. Somebody else might be mad. Somebody else might be sad, but it's the same situation. It's our perception on it. So that's where our emotions come from. And if we continue to keep our guard up and keep our wall up because we're trying to protect ourselves, and we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable and to have that space to say, you know what, this was really messed up and I'm really upset. I'm really vulnerable right now. I'm really sad. I'm really disappointed. If we don't allow that, and then we don't receive that from others, because I'm perfect. I don't make mistakes. I grew up thinking that all adults were all knowing and all perfect. And now I'm grown. I'm like, oh, we don't know what we're doing. We have no clue what we're doing. Our parents are just people, but I didn't grow up thinking that. So there's something wrong with me because I don't, I have these feelings and nobody else does. If we don't start sharing with our little kids how we feel, my kids know I'm nervous about doing this interview right now. I tell my daughter every time, I'm nervous about it, but that's okay. I know it's going to be fine. I know it's going to be great.
Feeling, right? You're feeling nervous. It's okay.
And she tells me all the time, Mommy, you're going to do fine. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be afraid, because we have those conversations. If we don't do that, we can't get anywhere. If parents can't hear from their adult children, this is how you messed up. This is where I feel our relationship broke down and what you did. I know a lot of people are like, I did the best I could, and they get real defensive. And we get that, but you got to be able to receive that and to say, I'm sorry, and leave it there. I'm sorry.
Okay. Wow.
I'm sorry. So if we can't get to that point,
powerful.
It's hard to build that relationship back up. It's very hard.
I'm sorry.
But every parent that I know, that I talk to a lot of people, anytime, professional settings or whatever it is, every single time somebody's telling me a story about how their relationship with their kids broke down. And the people that said, but I sat with them and, it was hard for me to hear, but I listened, and I keep listening and keep letting them, spill their guts and pour it out. The relationship is being built back up every time. But everybody that's like, they think that I did it this way, but I really did it like that. And that's on them. That's their problem. That's going to be your problem, because you're going to miss out on a relationship with an amazing person that you created. So it's all about that communication, being vulnerable and apologizing and leaving it there.
Okay. And I think we just might leave it there.
And I'm telling you, I can do this all day. We can get deep.
that is really heavy. But on a serious note, y'all, listen, I just got to work out because the gems kept dropping. You just hit some really heavy. I'm telling y'all, if you don't take the opportunity to, one, really listen to what she has shared, two, share it with a family member and a friend, because I know somebody who's in the situation where communication, right, being able to express how people really feel has been an issue. And then definitely the I'm sorry, right? The I'm sorry. Being willing to listen and then say I'm sorry, like that, there's just too many people who aren't willing to do that.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can get them to listen to this, and they'll take that opportunity, and a relationship can be mended. Because I'm going to tell you this, we all recognize one thing: life is too short, right? We all say it. Every time somebody passes away, we're like, life is too short. They were only this age. I can't believe it. Life is too short. In the meantime, people aren't even talking to the people they've loved the most, and they just let it all go. We got to stop it, y'all. We got to stop it. This is a heavy one. So listen, on another note, coming back to you, so as we wrap up, right? Is there any last tidbits that you want to share before we actually close out? And you don't have to. I know we can talk all day. I realize.
I know. I'm like, I don't want to go.
We talked all day. When we first spoke, we was on the phone, right? So I get it. But if there was a wrap up to the conversation that you want to leave people with in 30 seconds or less, if you did a wrap up, what would the wrap up be? The wrap up is just, I want to say, like, go to my website, follow my social channels, and just learn how to communicate with your kids, little, young, and old. Like, learn how to communicate with your family. That's the most important thing to me in the whole entire world. That you understand that you have feelings, and that's okay, and that you communicate with your family. That's it. Wow. And I think that's enough. So with that, y'all, we're going to wrap up. I want to thank you, Chelsea Elliott, for being with us today on ColumbusBlack.com for our Support Black Business series. For those that understand why we do what we do, hopefully now you know, right? So we've been around, as I said, since 2005. We've evolved over time. We started this series at the beginning, not at the height, but at the beginning of the pandemic, because we knew we wanted to make sure we highlighted our businesses so that people can support our businesses. And this is one that you definitely want to get behind. Tabitha Brown, Oprah Winfrey, guess what? She wants to meet you. So I'm going to invite you all to meet her, because this sister is changing things in a major way, changing lives, which is what y'all are about. So with that being said, make sure you check us out. Go to ColumbusBlack.com right now. And if you don't get our emails, I need you to go to the website, right? Check out all the cool ads on there. That's the commerce side of our business. Check out all the ads, all the businesses that are supporting us. Go to the job board. We have companies and organizations that are trying to hire Black people, okay? Go check it out on the ColumbusBlack.com job board. Share the word with your friends, family members, or yourself. Go and apply for one of those amazing jobs that are currently there. And then also make sure you sign up for the newsletter and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and even on YouTube, right? Where you can find this video. And with that being said, y'all, listen, in order to be more successful in your future, you need to understand a little bit more about your past. I'm hoping that y'all really enjoyed this Throwback Thursday Support Black Business series, because I personally just had a blast. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap up as I always do. Guess what, y'all? I'm out. And deuces to you all. Have a good one.